Yeah, I'm recording this. So this is like, you don't need to get everything. You just need to get a gist for what I'm doing, and then you'll be able to review this when you get home.
I'm fine.
Okay, so what I like to do when I'm using Lightroom is have the pictures, I get rid of all of the gumph down the bottom. So you just click on these little arrows to get rid of that. I click on the arrows here to get rid of this. And I click on this one here. So I've basically got like 4 or 5 pictures across the screen. Can you see this? And that way I can then go through my pictures and I can start to see what I've got, and then start to 5-star my favorite photographs. So what I'm trying to do is not go through and decide which ones I'm going to keep and which ones I'm going to delete. I'm just going through all of these and I'm trying to pick up which ones worked, which ones didn't, which are my favorites, etc. So this is still downloading at the moment. I'm eyeballing these, and generally I'm shooting in a series of pictures. Do you know what I mean? So like I've got some that is many that are similar, and therefore I'm trying to then decide which one out of those 4 or 5 similar photos is the best. For example, this one here, the horizon is not straight compared to this one that's straight. Okay, so I wouldn't choose this one so much, even though I could correct it, but I might choose that one because the horizon's straight, but also too, have a look at the difference in the island from here compared to here. To me, this one feels a little better because it's just on a bit more of an angle. I always like to have angles in my photos. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With this one here has an angle. Look, this is this angle here, right? Who cares? I've got the wing and I've got the door. Who cares?
I'm not the only one.
No, I'm going to crop it out.
Good.
And sometimes I shoot knowing that. Like I've got the wing here, but I'm like, who cares? Because I'm going to come in to develop. D on the keyboard for those who like the shortcut key. And I just come in and it's too much sky anyway, so why would I need it?
Yeah.
Okay, alternatively,
It's much
and then I can come down here. You can click auto on this and it should correct it because it sees the sky. You see that? It's now leveled the horizon. Alternatively, if you want to do it yourself, you just bring the cursor outside of the box here. It ends up being a double-headed arrow, and you click and drag and you end up with this grid, and you can eyeball it, double click inside it, and it's corrected it. Now, this is where you guys, I think, will get benefit from this. I've got this picture the same as what I just had then. There's a lot here and a lot here. Ideally, we'd probably be another 1,000 feet higher and look down on it, just like you do with the drone. You go higher, look, point the camera down. We haven't got that here, but we can create that same effect by clicking transform and going to vertical and tilting the picture like this. So we're changing the perspective. Then we click constrain crop to get rid of the white. And then we click on crop and auto adjust it. And then we can even come in here to this crop and we can move this like this. You see how I'm moving this crop around? I can change the, and now I end up with that photo. So let me just show you. Did that create a virtual copy? Here it is now. So let me just show you what the original one looked like. So that was the original, and now that's what I've got. You see that? It's the same picture. I've just tilted it towards me, got rid of the wing, and then I've also got rid of a lot of that in the
That's why
foreground.
it's
Okay.
good to have space, isn't it? So you can do that.
So you can do that. Yeah. You don't necessarily need to do it to all of them, but to some of them, if you've got the option to do that, you can. Okay, so let's go through to another picture here, because it's still downloading all these photos onto this other card. Let's have a look at something else. Very simple composition. Focus point was not on point. So if you're ever unsure of whether or not it's in focus, just click on the image, wait for it to stop loading. When you click on the image, you should be at 100%. So you need to check that up here, it's at 100%, okay? There's no point being at 300% because it's always gonna look pixelated. You click on 100%, once it finishes loading, this is very, very slow today, it will pop and you'll be able to see that it's a focus or not. That's not in focus, not worth keeping. not worth doing anything with. Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna skip over those for a minute. Okay, so we've got a couple here like this that are the same, and like which one would you choose? That one or that one? Doesn't really matter. Okay. Again, I can tilt it towards me, but there's probably no need. But I'd definitely come in here. There's no need for me to clone that wing out because I've already got too much sky and I've shot that on purpose. I'm like, I can see the wing there, but it doesn't matter because I know I'm going to crop that out later. I've got the thing there. That's no problem. That picture looks nice. Okay. So I'm always about getting the crop right first before I go and do anything else to the picture. Because if I can't do the crop, I just get stuck with the fact that it doesn't look good. So whenever I'm editing a photo, I'm always thinking about what don't I like about the photo. So what don't I like? I don't like the wing in the picture. I don't like the door in the picture. Great. That's the biggest issue at the moment. Let's deal with that big issue. Okay. Crop it out. Okay. What else don't we like about it? Well, it's lacking a little bit of color / vibrancy / punch, whatever you want to call it. If you click auto here, it's already made some adjustments which are quite nice. Okay. You'll see the difference between that and that is just a slight adjustment, but that's what it looked like before. Now it looks like that afterwards. Okay.
Okay.
And then we go, what else does it need? Okay, so it's lacking a little bit of color, so I'm going to up the saturation. Okay, so I'm going to drag the saturation slider to the right. Not a heap, because otherwise it starts to look unnatural, but I'm dragging it enough that I'm noticing a difference and I'm liking it. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Okay, and then I'm looking at my histogram, and I'm generally seeing whether or not it's bright enough. So ignoring the color histograms, just the white one here, I might need to drag this white slider up to the right a little just to make this picture a little brighter, so to make my whites whiter. Do you see how that's making everything a bit...
Sorry, is that whites? Is it? Yeah.
Whites
Yeah,
only.
Yeah, I was doing that too. It makes
Okay, not exposure because it just makes it wishy-washy. Okay, so not exposure, but whites, because if my white point is not near the right-hand side, it's going to look a bit dark.
Do you ever deal with the highlights and the shadow slider?
It's done it already through the auto adjustment here.
Oh, okay.
But I can sometimes play with that. But it's not necessary a lot of the time. It's just the auto does that, and sometimes I adjust it. Now, is there something else we could do to this photo to make it better?
Could you put down a lineal gradient?
You could. So you could just darken the sky. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
So you could just click linear here in the mask, click linear gradient here, and then drag a gradient over the top half of the image and just darken it, say using exposure, for example. Just a little bit.
No idea how to do that.
I just showed you.
Will that be on the recording showing us
Of
the
course.
steps you took?
I'm just doing it now. Everything I'm saying and doing is being recorded.
Oh my God.
So you pull that down and then you drop the exposure slider. You see? And it's now dark on the top half of it. Now that was a trick question before because honestly I didn't think it needed anything more. And the problem is that people sit on their pictures for half an hour and think that the more time they spend editing, the better the picture is.
I can't stand doing that.
So I spend 2 minutes on a picture and that's about it.
So you don't think it does need the...
It helps, but I wouldn't have said that it absolutely needed it. No,
It looks
I'm not.
a bit darker now, the whole thing, doesn't it? The whites aren't as popping as much down in this... No?
So then you come down here and you up the whites anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And then you can come back and adjust that adjustment on the gradient. You know, you can come back, click on that, and you can, adjust that sort of stuff. Okay. So I don't spend a lot of time on my pictures because I like to get it right in camera in the first place. Here's the one that we looked at earlier, right? So again, what don't we like about it? The horizon seems a little bit off, so we can just click auto here, okay? And it's corrected it. You see how it's cropping it?
Sorry, where's the auto?
Here,
Oh,
under crop.
right, yeah.
Double click on that. This one annoys me,
Yeah.
so we can just, I've gone too
Oh.
far.
What happened there?
I just zoomed in too far. If you're cloning something out, it's always good to zoom in. What am I at? I'm at, let's go 100%. So let's zoom in at 100%. All you do is just click over to where you want to clone out. Just check that you're at 100%. If you're not,
Okay.
you click on 100 there. And then you click on this tool here. It's the erase tool. It's the one in the middle.
Yep.
Okay. Start with the first one. Okay. I'm not going to use generative AI. I'm just going to let it The square brackets make it bigger, or the slider here makes it bigger, you see? I can make it bigger there, or if you like your shortcuts, the square brackets on the keyboard. Why is it not showing me what it's doing? That's it. So you click on that, and it's pretty much gone. Okay?
It's not bad.
Some little bits here that's not done well, but it's not bad. We're at 100%. Okay? If you want to, we can use AI, but you need to be connected to the internet. Okay, so we'll just go back a section. Just going back in my history to show that thing up again. Okay, so there it is. Use generative AI here. It's ticked.
Where?
Use generative AI right there.
Okay.
Rub over the top of it.
Yep.
And then it comes up with like this mask. And then you just go remove. And then it just goes to the internet, finds pixels.
But you need the internet to be able to use
You
that,
do.
yes.
Yeah, you have to be connected to the web. So this generally does a better job than any other.
Wow.
There's a slight marking around it here.
Yep.
It's a slight sort of
Yeah.
patch there. But you know, if it doesn't work, you go undo and you click on the next one and you use the next one. They've got like 3 different options here. You've got your traditional clone stamp tool, you've got the spot healing brush tool, which was sort of the next generation after the clone stamp, and then you've got your AI fill there. So if you've not got, this has even got a feather, so that might get rid of that sort of boundary that we had in the last one. So again, just rub it over this area here. Okay. Rub, rub, rub. Where is it coming up? Why is it not coming up? That's just... It's running slowly because of that thing. There we go.
Your eyes too?
Yeah, when I'm on the computer, it they dry out.
Yeah.
Selected, fill,
Do you have eye drops with you?
I do.
Oh, good.
refresh. Why is it not executing this? I think it's cracked the
Frozen.
SADs. Yep. I think it's spat the dummy because that should just automatically execute when it does that. Okay, we'll leave that for now. Okay, so we've got this picture here.
Oh, God.
Play with this one. Okay, then what we do next is we could do an auto adjustment just as a quick, what do we need to do? But generally speaking, anything out here at the lake, because you're dealing with sort of more subtle colours and abstracts, etc., if I wasn't to use auto, I would probably immediately go to sort of like a contrast and add some contrast. Okay? Maybe add some whites just in case these whites aren't white enough. And then generally speaking, always saturation as well. But not heaps, but somewhere in the order of about plus 30. Okay, for saturation to get rid of.
But you didn't use any dehaze then?
I didn't for the minute, but we might do that. Let's go and do that. Okay, dehaze tends to sort of do saturation, contrast, and clarity all in one. So if you've done it already here, you don't need to do it again. But let's reset this picture. Get rid of that just quickly. H. Move this. See, if you don't like where it's cloned over the top of it, because it's cloning part of this, right? That's horrible, right? Sometimes it chooses the wrong place. You just click and drag it to a spot where it's going to get rid of it, that's similar, along adjacent to it, and
Where's
it's
the
got rid of it.
cloning tool?
Which one?
Oh,
This is
that
this clone here.
Ah,
And I'm
right,
using what's
okay.
called the spot healing brush tool here.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Yeah. Now, if I go into the dehaze and drag that across, you don't want to be like this because that looks rubbish. You just want to be enough that it looks good. Now, what I tend to do is use this key underneath the delete key, which is a backslash key, which is the before and after key. You'll see in the top right-hand corner here, it's telling you before and after. And I use that to sort of see what I started out like and then what I've ended up with.
That's great.
And that way I can say, oh no, I've used too much dehaze. Look, I've overcooked it. You know, I need to pick it back. This does feel like it's a bit flat still. It feels like it needs a bit more light. So I've just added some whites to this here. Okay. But does it need a whole lot more? Probably not. I don't know that I'd do much more to that. That horizon feels a bit off. The auto adjustments made a difference there. You might. The only other thing you might do to this, and this is like, you know, if you can be bothered and if you're careful about it, is you might add a beautiful little highlight across this here. Okay. So you grab the masking tool here, which is this dot. You go to brush. Okay. And you can obviously change the size and the feather of the brush, but here the size of the brush is actually quite nice. And we just go to the whites and slide that up. We don't need to worry about what it's going to do for the minute. And we just drag that along here into where all these nice highlights are. And we might even, and it looks a little bit fake at the moment. It looks like it added too much white. We could back that whites off, or we could also add some contrast to that and mix these two together. Do you see what I mean? And now you could even add some saturation to that as well. So you could make that a bit better there. And now if you put your cursor over the mask palette here where it's got the eye, you can then hold it down and then let it go, and you can see the difference that I've made to that island there to just pick up that highlight. Does that make sense? Now, if I go plus or minus here and go back in my history, that was before the brush. Okay, that's before the brush, and that's now after. You see the difference? That's before, that's after. So it's just caught that nice little bit of light hitting the island there, and I've warmed it up as well. So I've added some saturation to just emphasize that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's
terrific.
I think helped that along a little. And then to finish off a picture, what's that dark sky doing there? I'm hitting F on the keyboard and it's adding a dark sky to the picture. Look, right here. Oh, because I'm recording it. Okay. When I press, just ignore the sky for a second. When you press F on the keyboard, it just gets rid of everything, top and bottom, left and right. And again, it's another way for me to check whether or not I'm happy with the image and I've finished it off completely. Okay. So I'm happy with that. I then press 5 on the keyboard and I move on. So what I tend to do as my workflow is I tend to go through all these pictures and I 5-star my favorites. Okay.
Sorry, you press 5, but you do something with your other hand.
No.
You press 5 here, and that's it, 5 stars.
Yeah. They're just marking.
Just press 5,
Yep.
nothing else.
Yep. So now that this has downloaded most of the pictures that I wanted, I go through these and I go, well, make these a bit bigger, plus or minus on the keyboard here,
Sorry,
plus or
you
minus
make
on the
it bigger.
keyboard,
Okay, right. Yeah.
or the thumbnails slider
Yeah.
down here.
I couldn't
yeah.
see that before.
Yeah. So you can use the thumbnails here, like this.
Oh, make it bigger like that.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Or you press plus or minus here.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Oh, right.
5 on the keyboard there for that one because I like that one. And then, just using my eyes to then go, all right, what else do I like here? This one hasn't got anything in the way, so I'll use that one. 5 on the keyboard here, okay? Choose one of these, so to speak. 5 on the keyboard here for that one, right? And sometimes I skip over stuff because I'm like, I don't like it as much. That one's nice out of that sequence. This one's nice out of this sequence. These are lovely here. Select it and press 5 on the keyboard. Do you see what I'm doing? It's like that one, or that one, or that one. There's not much difference. Actually, that one's got a bit more of the island there, so that's nice. You can double click on them, of course, and you can sort of flick between them and then go, oh, well, I like this one, press 5 on the keyboard, etc. Okay, but what I'm trying to do is just choose the sort of my nuggets, you know what I mean, out of here, and then I'll decide to work on them. 5 on that one there. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Just going through, choosing your favourites, pressing 5 on the keyboard, and then what I do once I've selected all my 5 stars is then I go into, let's choose this as another 5 star because look, the camera didn't focus on there, so same issues you guys are having where it's just not picking it up. Let's choose a couple more from this morning so you can see what I've done this morning.
Those ones you just went past.
Well, I do. I'm just trying to quickly pick a few, you know what I mean? Like that one's quite nice. This one's quite nice. This one I like the angle of. This is perfect. Except I think it's out of focus. Yep, I don't think. So if you press 5 and then you decide that it's no longer a 5, you just press 0 and it takes it back to nothing, okay? This one I really like. This one I like better than this one because I've just got a little bit of that in the bottom, and this seems to have a nice shine over the top of it. So I'm going to press 5 on that one. Does that make sense? This one's lovely. This.
Oh yeah.
Oh dear.
No, it's just got a pop.
Loading.
Yep. Press 5 on the keyboard for that one. These are really nice. So let's go. This one here, look, you're missing a little bit here. This one, you've got more of it. This one here, I kind of feel like I'm missing a little bit there. So I'm going to press 5 on that one. Does that make sense? These
You're
are lovely.
missing what? The little rivulets or the big river? What are you missing? They're cut off.
They're cut off here.
The rivulets.
This one I've got, and then this one here, I've got this part here, but also here I feel like I'm cutting off too much of that river. I want that river to be higher than this almost. These are 2 levels. So just personal preference, just liking that one more. These are very similar to the one I've already got, so I don't need to do those again. This one here, you've got that versus that versus that. You know, choose one. I think I like this one because it's got that nice line coming through here.
Yeah.
5 star.
It's beautiful.
Okay. These ones, I know which one I'm going to choose out of these ones. I'm going to choose that one because I like the angle of that tail the most. This part here.
Yeah.
It's on a diagonal. I don't like it when it's
Straight.
0, 5 on the keyboard here. There was some nice lights. Sometimes when you're flying, you might photograph it front lit and you think to yourself, oh, well, it's not any good anymore because it's backlit. We're just going to fly around the back of it. But then the light reflects off the salt and it looks really good backlit, so to speak. Does that make sense? So I'm always looking. I'm not just, thinking, oh, well, I've got my shot. I'm not going to bother looking anymore. I'm always then just flying around and looking backwards and seeing how the light's playing off the landscape and then seeing whether or not that's something I still want to photograph. This one here is really nice. I really like this flow through here. So I'm going to 5 star that one, right? These ones I'm not so big on because I feel like this one here has got this beautiful peninsula matched with this soft line here. Whereas these ones, not so much. It's nice enough, but I'm not resonating with that as well. This one I really like because I like this playing with this. These 2 are diagonally opposite. So I'm going to 5 star that one. Okay.
Oh, look at the light though.
The light off this one's quite nice. And then, either one of these is going to work well. I'm going to choose that one. I like that line coming out of the bottom right-hand corner of the frame, flowing into the picture. These are just scene setters. These are ones I just take just to show this is a lake, with salt in it, etc. You get my drift. Let's choose, and then I'll choose the lady. So I've got 5. Just say I've gone through this very carefully and I've chosen all of my 5 stars. Then I go up here to attribute and I click on the far right hand star, and then I end up having all of my 5 stars from today and yesterday. Okay, these are just the ones I'm going to work on. Okay, you could do an auto adjustment to all of these. If you wanted to do that, you just click on the first one, go to edit, select all. The shortcut is Command A on a Mac. And then you could just come over here, open this palette and click auto here. And then they're all going to be auto adjusted. Okay? Little pops. Pop, 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 pop. Now that can just give you a leg up. You see how these are all popping?
Yep.
Yep. They're all popping just to give you a little bit of a leg up with editing in the first place. Go down here, click anywhere off these, or just go edit, select none, just so when you go in and start working on one, it's not copying all those changes all over to the other ones, okay? So then I go through and I start working the images, okay? This one here, for example, would just be going in the develop module. What else could you do with it? Maybe some dehaze, but don't go over the top like this. Just, for me personally, is more like, it looks hazy, doesn't it? It looks like it needs more contrast. So you just come in here, add some dehaze, and then maybe you want to enhance the colors a little more, so you could up the saturation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't think that needs much more done to it. This one here looks a bit flat, looks like it needs some dehaze.
What do you put that up to?
Not heaps. Well, this is only like 10, but it needs a lot of saturation because it looked a lot more yellow than what I remember it. So I'm going to do that. Okay. So it's had an auto adjustment. I've added some dehaze and I've also added some saturation.
Sorry, Sandy.
No, no,
So I'm happy with
I
it.
have to get my jacket.
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
I'm fine, I can see.
Okay. So then with this one, doesn't this feel like I'm a bit flat? I want to be looking down on it more. So I'm going to do that transform like I did with the other one. Transform, vertical, tilt it slightly, click constrain crop down here, and that gets rid of all the white on the sides.
All right.
Now it's a bit top heavy. It's not hasn't got enough sky, but I can go back into my crop tool, and then I can now start moving around. Does that make sense? You see? And I can click auto here to adjust the horizon. So now it's made it level. So now I click on that, and now it's gone from that to that. It's only a slight adjustment, but
Incredible. What it can do.
and now I can just go into here, maybe drag that whites up a little, maybe drag some dehaze into it,
Here's Sandy.
maybe drag some saturation into it. So a little bit dehaze, a little bit of saturation's taken it to pretty much where I want it to be. With a big fat dust bunny right in the middle of my centre, which I'm not too happy about. But I don't want to take the lens off and try and fix it. That's horrible. This one, watch this one. You've got this really nice flow of water. Add some dehaze. Look at what that does. All of a sudden it starts to really bring out that beautiful detail
Yeah.
in the shot, okay? That's all I'd need to do with that photo. You could add saturation and just enhance those colours even more if you wanted. But really, all I've done is an auto adjustment here and then a dehaze adjustment here. And it's got
It's almost opalescent.
it's got everything I want there, right? Let's have a look at a couple more just to finish off.
Oh yeah, I like
What about this one here? That's really nice. Hey, I love the light. I love this shadow. Okay, maybe add some dehaze. But you overdo that and then all of a sudden it starts to bring in, I think, too much detail other than the tracks. Okay?
Okay.
So there's times where I use it and then I say to myself, yeah, no, not today. You know what I mean? Probably, let's have a look at what any sort of saturation will do. It's not bad, but it depends on how much you want to process it. I feel like we need more whites because this is bright white, right? And yet even the auto adjustment sort of left it about here. The white of that histogram is not over to the right.
Yep.
So we can drag that across to the right and make it brighter like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that needs much more. I'll skip this one. I'll skip these. I don't think there's not much I can add here. This one here, this is before it was an auto adjustment. This is after, so I can do an auto adjustment on this one. And then just say to myself, right, what else does it need? Maybe some more dehaze. Maybe a bit of saturation just to lift it a little. But then it starts to get quite yellow and quite sort of bright here. So you might need to back off the white slider a little. Do you know what I mean?
So you're backing off on the white now.
Because it was a little blown out here.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a
right.
little bit bright here for me. But that's only minor. This one here, I'm actually going to use that transformation that I did here before. I feel like I'm sort of photographing like that, and I want to tilt it towards me. So I'm going to do this. Okay. I'm going to go into my crop tool because I lost some space at the top, right? This is running too slow for me. So I can then just start cropping this a little. Move this over a little. I might even crop that out. I feel like that's a distraction.
Which bit? The bottom?
This bottom dark part
Okay.
was a bit of a distraction. I don't want to go too heavy on the dehaze here because it'll just make it be too black and heavy. But I could do that. Lighten it slightly with the whites. And that's pretty much where I want it to be. Does that make sense? See the difference? Got rid of the haze and just tilted it a little more towards me.
That's fabulous.
Just 1 sec. Transform.
I want to print of that.
Sorry, is that horizontal or vertical tilt? Or...
So one thing, just 1 sec. This is a vertical tilt because I'm tilting it towards me.
Right.
So have a look, you see? This is flat, whereas when I tilt it towards me.
Yeah.
One thing when you're tilting it towards you is you see how it's cropped that out? Even if I go to the crop, it's not there, but it's in the photo still. Let me show you another trick. You come down here to scale and you'd be able to back it off and you can see the whole picture here. And then you can crop it like this and you can end up with like almost this vertical like pano. Does that make sense? But you've not lost the top of that picture either. So now all of a sudden you've got that. Just because I used that scale, the scale was allowing me to pull back and see the whole picture. Does that make sense?
Wow.
I'm not sure that everyone is aware that you can do that when you do this transformation even. So let me just create a virtual copy, reset this and put these side by side. Not those. So that's how it came out of camera, and that's how I've ended up transforming the picture, just to have a bit more. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah.
Now these are all these techniques are explained in a video link that I'm going to give you to past videos I've done where I've spent 2 hours going through processing my photos. Okay, so you'll see this ad nauseum in terms of like transformations, dehazes, very very simple sort of stuff, in order to enhance these pictures. Okay, so I'll send you a link to that. This is just a brief overview for now, so it can sort of get you started and get you thinking about your photos. You don't have to have all your photos edited, etc. now or before you go home. The purpose of being able to drag out our laptops now is you get to sort of see your photos. You go, oh my God, I need to crop in more, too much wing, too much plane, or maybe I could do this, do that, Yeah, and you can start, just thinking about how you might improve your photos for later. Okay. So I'll just finish this one off. This one, I might just drag this here. I'm zoomed in just to clone that little bit out. I could crop it if I wanted as well. It's got rid of that, so that's good. Okay. There's a little bright patch in the top here as well. Let's get rid of that. This I feel like I want to tilt towards me as well. So we could do transform. And just feel like we're looking down on it more. We could scale it just to see what are we missing here. Click, that constrained to crop was clicked, so it was kind of like stuffing us up. But you can see here, this is the picture. So we can just crop that however we want. Do you know what I mean? We can pull that out a little like that. We could just do that as a final picture. Let me just go to 100% here. Fit. I want to fit it to the picture, to the frame. Sometimes when you shoot straight down, like with the drone, you can then press Command square brackets and you can rotate the photo like this. And you might decide that even though that's the original way you shot it, you might decide that it works better as a horizontal or even upside down. Does that make sense?
Would you show also, just one more time quickly, the before, after, what was your shortcut for that?
Oh, when you're in the develop,
Yes,
it's the / key underneath the delete key here.
and that goes before, after.
Before, after. It just goes to the bottom of your history and then back up to the top again.
Got it, thank you.
but only after you've cropped it. It doesn't show you the before crop and after crop.
Got it.
Let's finish with her. Okay, so she's flat. We need to sort of be looking down at her. Again, use this transform tool and get her to where you want her to be.
Oh, right. Okay.
See?
Yeah.
Like this.
So that's probably what I need to do to mine, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I'm
I
not
always
real.
have to do it to these.
All right.
And then sometimes you need to play with the horizontal as well, because you can see it's kind of like her head's elongated like this way. And if
Yeah.
I tilt it this way, it kind of squares her off a bit more. Do you see that? And I could even use the aspect one, which either makes her head broader or narrower. Does that make sense?
Is
Okay.
that your phone, Sandy?
And then,
Is that your phone in the foreground?
yes,
Oh,
I've
it
got a
could
lot of
be.
those. I've got a
You
lot
keep
of those.
taking pictures
Oh,
of
I
my
did
phone.
wonder.
And then I can now scale it. Look at this. I can scale it back and look how much more of the picture I've still got. So you can see I've done a vertical tilt, I've done a horizontal tilt, I've done an aspect tilt, and I've done a scale tilt.
Right.
And then I can go into my crop and I can click 1-to-1 square crop just for Sandy, because I know she likes her square crops, and she's screaming at me already. I can hear her. She's
I'm
saying,
not even saying a word. I'm not even thinking.
it's hard for you not to
I'm
though.
not even
She's
thinking.
going, Tom, why would you not crop that square? It's just like it's begging for it, right? So I can crop this square like this.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You see this bit here?
Yep. The right, bottom right.
Because I wanted a bit more space around there, I had to include part of the image that's not there. I can right click on this. I can bring it into Photoshop. There is a quicker way to do this, but I'm still to work it out.
I have no idea with Photoshop.
I'm showing you now. Have a look. I don't use it much, so you don't need to know.
Terrifies me.
Yeah, it does a lot of people. So you don't need to know a lot about Photoshop. I don't use it a lot anymore, although I grew up using Photoshop well before Lightroom.
Oh,
Okay, so this is a few steps, but it's very easy once you get your head around it. Okay, you go into this tool here, the Magic Wand tool, and you click on that area that you want to fill in. Okay, and then you go into Edit, Generative Fill. Okay, and you just say, it says, what do you want to do? Now you need to be connected to the internet to do this. You just can say Extend Image. Okay,
oh, so it'll push out.
it'll fill it with pixels. No, it won't push it out. It's going to fill it
Oh,
with
right.
pixels. It's looking at what's around it, and it's going to try and replicate that or do its
That's what
best
I
to
meant.
sort of
Show
fill
us
it in.
which
Okay.
tool it is.
I'll show you again. Yep.
Crap.
So it's the Magic Wand tool. Click on the
Oh,
area.
that one up there. It's
Click
highlighted.
it. Click on the area to select it,
Yeah,
and then go Edit, Generative Fill.
yeah.
Okay.
I
Where's
used
the
to do
magic
that,
wand,
actually.
please?
This one here.
That's a wand.
It's
It's
Okay.
the one with the stars on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're so tiny.
Yeah. I think you can make that bigger in the interface, in
Yeah.
the preferences.
Waiting.
Now, it gives you three options here. The good thing about this generative fill is it gives you three options on the side here. So I'm going to zoom in here so you can see it. This is how it's filled it in, okay?
Oh,
Now, interestingly, that's good. Okay. Now,
I like it.
it's got three options here though. You can choose from the three options on the side here.
Oh, wow.
You see that? So it gives you one option. That was the first, that's the second, that's the third. The third looks amazing.
that's what
Doesn't
I
it?
reckon.
Yeah.
If it's not done at it really well and you're kind of like, this is kind of there, but it's not exactly how I like, select your most preferred variation and then just click generate again here or give it a different prompt and then just click generate and it'll give you three more. Okay? And then you can hopefully find it. Now that's done it. Now it does add that sort of fill as a layer, you see? It's an extra layer. So we just have to go in and flatten the layer. So just go layer, flatten layer, then save the photo, and then go back into Lightroom, and it sucks it back in, and there's the photo. Now it's ready to go. Basic, auto adjustment. It's done an auto adjustment there. Let's add some dehaze just to bring out some definition. Let's add some color, but I hate the way it brings out this.
Yeah, one side's really yellow, isn't it?
Well, that's because the light's coming from this
Yeah.
angle,
Yeah.
and maybe this is a different sort of geological, rock than this side here.
She looks like a witch.
So you can what I have done in the past is I'm going to get a little bit fancy here is you could get a brush and you could actually desaturate the whole outside, and then you could invert it to then make this brush quite big. It's freaking hard to see those lines. It needs to be bigger. So I'm rubbing on the background here. I'm rubbing around the outside, and I'm actually desaturating the outside of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I'm actually wanting to take a lot of that colour out from around her. And then you could, there's the mask. I could right click on it. I can duplicate and invert the mask. So now I've got a second mask, and that's just the inside. And now I could grab this and I could really up the saturation just on the inside, or even add some colour, you know, whatever I wanted. I'm not saying you necessarily do that, but I'm just showing you for an example. That's what you could do. It's pretty desaturated type of photo anyway. So to be honest, I'd probably just, you know, stick to what we did here and leave it like that. Alternatively, you could go completely black and white, which you go back to basic, click black and white. And if I ever do a black and white conversion, I always tend to sort of up the contrast, maybe drop the blacks. I'm wanting to just make it blacker, the black's blacker and the white's whiter. And I tend to always add clarity as well, because that clarity brings out some really nice definition in the photo as well. So contrast, blacks, whites even, if need be. You don't need to do too many whites here because it'll blow out the whites. And then clarity. Does that make sense?
That's amazing.
So we've gone from before we did that black and white conversion, that was the original photo we started with, okay? And then we ended up with that.
That you ruined, Sandy.
No, she didn't ruin it. I knew I was going to crop it out, so it didn't matter, because I only wanted the top half. I only want that part.
Ruined it, I tell you.
So I tilted it towards me, I cropped it square, and then I worked it like it was a normal photo, and I ended up with that.
Goodness.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You know, what I'm finding fascinating on that, Tommy, is that I typically use swivel tilt a lot on architecture.
Yes.
Yeah.